As a follow-up to our recent webinar by Comply Right, independent contractor or employee, how to get it right every time and protect your business from devastating penalties, we have Marcia Miller here to answer additional questions from the webinar that we are adding extra time to address. Marcia, thank you for being here today.
Thank you, Stephanie, and I'm glad everybody else is joining us for some more Q&As. You know, at the end of the broadcast, a checklist was sent to you guys via chat box, and there's a question about that. One party asked if we provide the independent contractors with a checklist of things that we promise the end customer, is that too much control? Again, when I'm talking about control, I'm talking about your control over the independent contractor, not the end user. Okay, so I hope that answers that. Somebody was interested about the case citations for when I spoke with you about the landmark Microsoft case. And that, if you want to Google that, is Microsoft, or actually Viscano versus Microsoft. And you'll see the details of that there. Another question was, a party says, I have a few employees who work a regular schedule and then clean the office after hours as an independent contractor. Are there any legal issues with this? Well, it's not a legal issue so much as it is a misclassification of your worker. You know, once an employee, always an employee. It's very possible you can give a given employer more than one job. For example, we have managers who have to work in more than one department. Now, if you have somebody who's moonlighting in the evenings that is cleaning your offices, unless they have an existing business, let's say the person with your spouse cleans at night and you're paying that business and it is an ongoing business, that'll be different. What I mentioned was the primary problem in doing this is giving a W-2 and a 1099 to the same individual Social Security number in the same year. So I hope that answers your question. Another party asks, what if you have a contractor that works for an hourly rate? A deliverable is assigned and then they bill the hours needed to complete the work. It's not unlike what I do as a professional. Whether you're a CPA, you're an attorney, we bill by the hour. Billing by the hour does not decrease our independent contractor status. It's not like paying someone a minimum wage, an employee, a W-2 person. So I hope that answers that question. I mentioned that independent contractors can't work side by side along employees. What if the job you hired them for is to work alongside an employee for the duration of the job? How does that work? Let's go back to Microsoft again. In that case, you had engineers sitting side by side doing the same work as the others. It was a full-time job to do the engineering of the platform for Windows. They were given tools with which to work. They were even given special security passes to get in and out of the Microsoft campus, just like the person alongside them were doing. It wasn't that they were doing something different outside of those people. And again, if you want to read that case, that'll give you more details about that. Here's an interesting one. Party wants to ask what my thoughts are on hiring independent contractors who work outside of the U.S. What are the penalties for misclassification? I love this question because I always talk about it in my 1099 presentations. What is our responsibility with foreign workers? And the example I give is what if you have somebody in the Philippines who's a great website guru, and they set up the website for you? They do it in the middle of the night. They do it in their own time, and then they send you the login and information. Do you have a responsibility to give them a form? In this case, it would be a 1042 or a 1099 for a foreigner. Do you have to give them that for the work they performed? The answer is, if they worked outside of the country for you, they're no different than your vendors that you buy merchandise for or from outside of the country. So in a case like that, that particular independent contractor is just another vendor. Now let's go fast forward. Let's say that person did such a fantastic job for you that you are going to pay that person's way to come here to the United States. Let's say your factory's in Atlanta, and you want to set up logins for all your people on staff there because this person did such a great job for you. You want to bring them inside. In a case like that, the work is being performed here in the United States. It's what's called sourced here in the U.S. And they're still not an employee, but they are an independent contractor who would get either a 1042 or a 1099, depending on their status here. So I hope that answers that question. A question was asked, can an outside salesperson working on commission only be classified as an independent contractor? In most cases, outside salespeople, especially realtors, do get a 1099 at the end of the year. But don't confuse this with someone who is an employee of a given company, and there are certain perks or bonuses or commissions they get while working there. In case they don't, perhaps they get a draw, but they still get a paycheck every week. Those employees, any monies you give to them will be part of their W-2 wages. Someone else asked, can I hire someone as an independent contractor and as a part-time employee for the same company but with different duties? I think we answered that with that party who was offering cleaning services. And this reminds me of a case locally here. A lot of teachers on the weekends are hired as umpires for school teams. In a case like that, that's outside their regular employ, but they're still working for the given school. So those hours they're being paid for to coach the kids or referee the kids, that goes as part of their W-2 or employee wages. And lastly, someone said, I stated that you cannot send that W-2 and 1099 to the same person in the same year. What if a person is doing side work for you but does have a full-time job with another company? Do we send a 1099? In that case, the side work is just being done for you and you're issuing that 1099. The full-time job with another company is going to issue a W-2. So it's coming from two different payors or two different employers. So I hope that answers a lot more of your questions, and hope you'll join us again.
Thank you, Marcia, for taking the time to answer additional questions from our webinar. For more information on independent contractors and to watch the webinar, visit www.complyright.com.